And welcome to another episode of Even More Mashed Up,
Woohoo!
the pop culture podcast featuring two professors talking about all things pop culture. I am Patrick.
And I'm Alan, and welcome to the holiday season. We have a gift of a show for y'all today when you will marvel at our ability to pun.
Well done there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like
Thank
you got both the Marvel and you got the holiday bit in there. That was
the best.
you
Well,
do
it is
sort
the
of
holiday.
It is December 1st as we are recording this.
December 1st is crazy.
It is.
Yeah,
Yes, I
it
just
is
realized
December
I
1st.
need to put up my advent calendars.
Oh, Lego?
No. Two
Funko?
Lego, one Funko.
Yeah. Okay. So do you repeat
What do you mean?
advent calendars, or do you buy new ones every year?
What?
Well, you could use your Lego advent calendar from last year for this year.
Well, no, because the point is to build them. I've already built all the ones from last year.
So the point of advent to you is building Legos. I just want to be...
To be fair, the point of most things these days is building Lego. Like I don't know why you're shocked at that.
No, I'm not shocked. I'm just pointing out.
Yeah, so I've got the Lego
there's
Avengers
the birth
advent
of the
calendar.
baby Jesus and your ability to build Legos.
Yeah,
And
well,
you've got a priority.
It's important to note
So-
that I get a really cool minifig on the eve of the birth of Jesus. So that's what's really important.
So do you?
I think it might have been a baby Groot one year. That's kind of like a baby.
For some of us. So do you keep all of the old advent calendars then,
I keep the pieces. Yeah,
but not the cardboard?
they're up in my attic somewhere. I
So
keep
you-
all of my Lego.
So you do
boxes.
have everything.
Yeah, I
Do you
do.
put them back together?
No, I leave them together.
But do you put them back inside the little?
No, I've just got them
In
in
the
like
calendar.
Ziploc bags because in my head someday I'm going to do something with them in terms of like decoration or something like that.
As long as you've got a
I
plan.
just haven't pulled that off yet. So,
Got it.
but yes, I've got Lego Marvel, Lego Star Wars, and then Funko this year is doing a DC themed calendar,
Oh wow!
which they haven't done before.
So you get Marvel, DC, and the Star Wars.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, can I
Excellent.
stop doing the Lego Harry Potter?
Why?
They
Is
just
that a,
they
is that a JK like protest?
No,
or-
I stopped it before
Okay.
that. But yeah, I got kind of bored with the calendars. They
Oh.
they don't have as deep a bench in terms of like characters
Yeah,
and stuff,
I
and
guess
so
that's true.
it got a little repetitive.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
every year you get a Harry and a Ron and a Hermione.
So shots fired, I would
So-
say, to the Harry Potter Advent
So
calendar.
so that
makers.
one I gave up on I think a couple of years ago.
So you're down to only 3 Advent
Exactly.
calendars, which makes you
Exactly.
either the most religious or the least religious person in America.
It's a kind of religion. But that's
There you
not what we're here to talk about
no,
today.
no. With Zach as well. Zach, welcome and happy holidays.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
We're going to talk about the Marvels.
The Marvels, yes.
That's right. There was a new Marvel movie.
That came out like 3 weeks ago.
Recently
we're a
released?
little slow to get to it. It's taken us a little bit of time.
Well,
We're
there's a
very
chance
busy
that
people.
There's a chance that a lot of people have been slow to get to it.
Yeah,
If
that's
you get
true.
my drift there.
Yeah, no, that was subtle.
Yeah. So, could we just start with like overall reaction?
Sure.
And then we usually do the good, the bad,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So, what's your overall reaction?
Let's see. What did I say here?
So, you need to go to your notes.
I do.
To
Yes.
make sure you okay.
I'd
Good.
say it was a fun and enjoyable film, but also pretty unremarkable. Like, I don't hate that it exists, unlike, say, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh.
But I also don't know that it needs to exist, or feels like it makes a reason for it to exist.
I think I disagree with you today.
Really?
Yeah.
Y-
I really kind of enjoyed this movie.
Okay. Who are you, and what have you done with Alan?
Exactly.
No, I mean,
know
it's like
that lately I have been a bit of a downer
you have been.
on Marvel and the MCU.
If by lately you mean since Endgame, which was like
Yeah.
4 years ago.
Well, time has kind of collapsed upon me in that way. Maybe you guys haven't caught the full weight of my dissatisfaction.
Oh no,
with
it's been
superhero.
it's
Movies,
like
but-
fine wine. You got to let it breathe to really pick up
Yeah.
the.
I really enjoyed this movie. I don't understand why people hate it.
I enjoyed it too.
I'm not
I
saying
just-
you hate it,
yeah.
but I don't understand why people hate it. And I feel like if Marvel were willing to get rid of, we can talk about this later because
Mhm.
it's in my notes, get rid of the whole Loki and the guy that sits in the chair at the end of time.
Kang.
Yeah, Kang. If they could just get rid of Loki and Kang.
You mean
this
the
movie-
multiverse stuff?
Yeah, this movie actually gives them any number of avenues
Hmm.
to build a universe that I think would be more easily followed for people like me who are completely mystified by the Kang,
Yeah.
Loki stuff, and maybe make it more accessible to people again.
Yeah, I do enjoy the moment in the post-credit scene when Monica's in sort of the new universe.
Yes.
The moment when she realized, I think it's like right after Hank says something about the multiverse.
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh shit." I'm like, "Yeah, I think that's how most people feel." Like that. Oh, more multiverse stuff.
Well, yeah, if that's the way they do it, it's going to be a problem. But I'm not saying I think this film is high art. I'm not saying
Correct.
this is like, I'm not saying this is one of the best Marvel movies.
No.
But I think it's pretty good. And
It's
I think it's
fun.
much better than they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
it's a fun movie.
When's the last time we watched a Marvel movie that I thought was fun?
Ragnarok.
Probably, right?
I'm like, because I mean, Endgame was good, but I wouldn't necessarily call it
not
fun.
Like it was dark.
Yeah, Ragnarok
and
would be, I
heavy.
think, probably the last really fun one that you enjoyed.
I think that's what caught me.
Maybe No Way Home had
Right,
some
like
fun
well,
to it.
so the Spider-Man stuff, yeah. But like, and I think this movie has some Spider-Man vibes to it. We can talk about that
Okay.
as we move on too. But I just thought I thought it was fun and it was light and it wasn't really wasn't weighed down with a lot of politics. There's like a little politics in there,
Yeah.
but
Probably too much for the people that don't like.
well, I think
politics
the
at all.
politics.
I mean, the politics are pretty.
The politics are more, I think, in the casting.
Well, the casting and then the one cameo,
Which cameo?
Valkyrie, which pretty
Oh.
heavily hinted at a relationship between her and Captain Marvel as having taken place.
Oh, well, I guess. I mean,
Which again, I mean, it was very kind of like
yeah,
tokenistic. I would say.
but by Marvel standards, it was pretty light. I thought on that. I clearly had like an environmentalist kind of message, but like nothing they're playing up very heavily because it's just kind of like a fun movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Of the most recent Marvel stuff, I give this one my most hearty endorsement.
Really?
Yeah.
I am surprised.
What's better? Of the recent stuff.
I'm not.
Like
I'm
post Endgame.
I mean, I should. It's better than Love and Thunder. That's for sure.
Love and Thunder wasn't that bad, but it wasn't very good.
Garbage.
I know you did not care for that one.
Garbage. Yeah. Take Avengers from me again. I'm gonna stomp on all the things Zach loves.
Wow. But now you're stomping on Marvel. It's like
forever.
we've swapped.
I'm not stomping, but yeah,
Well, you did say Love and Thunder was garbage.
Oh yeah,
That's
yes, I was stomping.
I
yeah,
think.
okay, that's
Okay.
fair. I thought you meant Marvels.
Yeah.
Marvels.
Yeah, no, I meant MC. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just, this is not a movie I'm probably going to go back and watch again.
Yeah, I haven't gotten back to see it, but
it's great, but like I thought it was.
I think we're kind of on the same
I thought
page.
it was like a super entertaining movie, and for me, it made it seem better than maybe it was because I thought it was just a movie that leaned into entertainment.
Well, I absolutely agree.
Which,
and I think a lot of that has to do with the chemistry between the three leads. I think really works really well between
absolutely agree.
Paris and Villani and Larson. Like I think the three of them playing off of each other is one of the strengths of it, which I think most people have said. Like the casting, particularly of the main three leads, like they play really well off of each other.
For sure, and I think in particular the inclusion of Miss Marvel and the humor she brings added it kind of humanized Captain Marvel a little bit and softened her a little bit and made her a little bit more human to me from the first film. I thought that having Miss Marvel there actually made for a much richer and more complex Captain Marvel along the way.
Well, I think they're still struggling because we talked about this before, that in the first movie there is sort of this undercurrent of, she lost her memories of her time on Earth, and so she's got that disconnect. Basically a version of like what Rogue did to her in the comics.
Right.
And they try to hit on that again in this film. They mention that she's like somehow reviewing her memories and trying to reconnect to them.
Right.
And so again, it's that part of her character that she's supposed to be somewhat kind of emotionally flat and disconnected to things, but I still don't feel like they've done enough to kind of make that. Cause I think what happens is that a lot of people just take it as, Larson, is, kind of sleepwalking through the role, or she's not really invested in it and things like that. And I'd like,
because she's playing it a particular way.
Because she's playing it that way, and I don't think they've done quite enough to seed that. But I can see.
But I think having Miss Marvel with her
does help with that.
Like juxtaposing and kind of the relationship they build helps to kind of better understand that maybe and make her a more complete character on the screen for me anyway. Like I agree with you. The chemistry between the three. One of my complaints will be there should have been more of that.
Yeah, well, it's a very short film, and there's
Which, by the
lot
way,
of stuff going on, which
another
I know you love.
big bonus.
Yeah, I know.
That it's not making me sit through 2.5
hours.
hours.
When I saw the time run, I was like, well, I was going to appreciate that. Hour and 45. Happy man.
That's that. Once upon a time, when we were young, that was a long movie.
That was
and now it's considered to be short. It's The explosion of length is
yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Now, of course,
yes,
you know which of the three I was most excited to see.
Professor Marvel.
Well, that's not what she goes.
Anyway, I liked that Kamala kept trying to give her that code name.
I was a little upset they didn't actually get to giving her a code name in the film.
But she is Photon, right?
I don't know if she's I
thought I read somewhere online that there was this.
I think in the credits it still just says Monica Rambeau.
Okay.
I don't think she's ever named. I saw something about that too, but I think it was more she's not actually ever given the name.
Yeah. Well, she's not.
Photon.
Right.
But of course, as you know, having gotten into Avengers somewhat intermittently right at the time that she joined the team, I've always had sort of an affection for the Monica Rambeau character.
Yeah.
I was very excited when she showed up in WandaVision. And so was very excited to see her featured in this film.
And not just but really featured.
Well, I would quibble with that a little bit. Because there's a point at which I realized in the film that in terms of the main plot, with the battle with Dar-Ben, it felt to me Kamala obviously has the bracelet.
Right.
Which connects her to that whole thing.
Right.
Obviously, Captain Marvel has the relationship with Dar-Ben in the past,
right,
and the Kree in general.
Correct.
There is no connection for her for Monica to that, and so the point at which I was like, "Oh, Monica feels like she's being kind of carried along by the plots of the other two."
Yeah.
Which is also the moment when I was like, "Oh, so she's going to be the one to sacrifice herself in the end?" Because I'm like, "There's no other plot for her beyond
interesting
trying to gain her powers and having the relationship with Carol, but she doesn't." She's kind of carried along. Well, and I kind of wish. So I wish they had given her something more of her own.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking of it. I guess in plot terms. Yeah, I think what you're saying is fair.
Yeah,
but when she's on the screen,
she's great,
and she's an equal to the other two characters, and plays just as important a role in many ways in kind of the character development. That happens among the three.
Yeah.
So one of the things I liked, because you talked about WandaVision, was I really kind of liked the beginning where we kind of open to Kamala's room and she's drawing her Avengers fanfic.
Oh, yeah.
And the cartoonish flourishes that kind of are painted in around her are they very much evoke what was done on Disney+.
Well, there's this... It is, except that didn't we talk about they only really did it in the first episode of the Disney Plus series, and then they kind of went away from it, which we didn't. So I thought the same thing too. I was like, oh, it's back.
Yeah, but to me, it maybe for the first time, I'm thinking something that happened that originated on Disney actually kind of matters. I think about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when we talked about that poor abandoned stepchild of a show, right?
Yes,
that was always, quote unquote, part of the MCU, but in fact really wasn't. And it was, and even when it was in such a tangential, unimportant way, because it was clear that TV didn't matter and the movies did. I loved that this was for me the best integrated of the I think of that kind of relationship. I think
Ms. Marvel is the first thing from a television show to pop up in the movies. Unless we count Multiverse of Madness kind of following the end of WandaVision.
Right.
But there's nothing that's unique to WandaVision that pops up in Multiverse of Madness.
But here I felt like finally maybe the TV mattered a little bit. And then the drawing made me think about fanfic. Because, of course, Kamala is so much into the fan fiction. And thinking about the way in which fan fiction might be thought of impacting the film that follows. That, as you watch the film, there are these moments where I think... starting with fanfic sets up kind of some of the things they go to do. So for me, what one avenue that fanfic takes is often kind of a whimsical, kind of playful avenue, right? It's taking more serious kind of subject matter and turning it into something, a little more whimsical. And there were a couple of moments of real whimsy in the film that made me feel like the fanfic was kind of being threaded through it. So there's a planet full of people who who communicate only through singing.
Yeah, that didn't quite work for me.
I don't know if it totally worked for me.
I mean, it totally makes the movie a musical, though.
But it doesn't for you. It does for me.
Oh, no, it does.
For
No,
you.
it does. Yeah, no, this absolutely is a musical.
But it's a very whimsical kind of take.
It is.
Right?
Yes.
Like, it's a very playful way of thinking about
it is. I just felt like, they only speak through song, but they're literally singing in English. Like, I was like, it didn't feel... I don't know how they could have done it, but I wish they had done a more imaginative way of, like, what does it mean to only communicate through song?
I think that's fair. But to me, like, the fan-fictional kind of element of it, kind of, like, it fit. It's the same with at the same time, like, the Princess Carol kind of interlude. Like, is a very kind of fan-fictional kind of take on, like, you put her in a Disney princess dress, and you wed her off to, like, the king of the singing
king of the singing people.
And so I kind of, I that might have been, those scenes were not my favorite part, but, like, the playfulness of it was definitely my favorite, favorite part of the film. The stuff I'm going to complain about later is less playful.
Okay,
I would say. So
I do want to add,
because
because you're right that Ms. Marvel is sort of the first one to kind of thread into the MCU movie universe, and then of course there's the second one.
The second one,
Hawkeye.
Oh. Yes,
that we get sort of.
Well, Kate
Bishop. I was very excited.
Yeah,
very excited. The moment you saw her silhouette with the bow, I'm like, oh, it's Kate. And then there's Pizza Dog. Oh, it was perfect. I was so happy.
I knew that was your moment.
That's one of a few moments.
Yeah.
Well, the other one obviously is just the inclusion of Monica.
Yes. Yeah. No, which is path breaking in a lot of ways, and hopefully they do her character justice on the other side of this rift in the space-time continuum or whatever.
Yeah, well, most people think she might be in the live-action version of the X-Men cartoon, because Beast is in the white lab coat that he wore most of the time in that cartoon.
Yeah. So, can we come back to that in a moment? But I've got a quick science superhero question for you, because I know that you love these.
Yes.
And I'm not sure I fully follow the villain's plan here.
Dar-Ben?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the film is kind of the villain is predicated upon sort of the environmental devastation of the Kree homeland.
Correct.
Right?
Hala.
There you go. Thank you, Hala. And she blames Carol for it because Carol
is my role on the show.
The supreme intelligence.
Correct.
So I think I understand using one of those jump points to bring air back to your planet.
That's the part you understand?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's the part that doesn't. I'm like,
Here's
I'm
the
not
part
sure.
I don't understand.
I'm not sure when your planet has lost its atmosphere, you could just suck the atmosphere from another planet and put it in place.
How do they reignite the sun just by draining the sun?
I don't know. I'm not.
But this is your job.
Yeah.
This is your job on the show is to explain the science to me.
Well, this is in some way. Well, I mean, you figure you've got sort of, the dead sun or the dying sun on Hala.
Yeah.
If you open a portal right next to that and then suck our sun's energy into it and it goes into that new sun, it would just theoretically reignite that
And why would it go into the new sun?
Because you've got the portal right there.
But it could go lots of different places.
No,
it could just torch the planet Hala.
No, because you've got clearly you don't aim the portal at the planet, you aim the portal at the sun.
I don't know. Could you? So you can aim the portal that. So you think that's how you would, if you needed to reignite a star?
So
you would just shoot it with a flamethrower.
So here's Earth Sun.
This is going to be really good for people listening. Yeah, as you put two
Hala
fists in the air,
and here's the portal in between them.
Oh, and then there's
and then exactly.
It's the Stranger Things upside down. No, that's pretty good.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. Do I have coffee cups? Because I could do it with coffee cups too.
No.
So,
if you do a flash thing, I'm done.
No, it is.
I will get up and leave the studio right now.
It is perhaps one of the more comic book science-y things in that I'm not sure any of that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to be clear that I wasn't missing some kind of principle of physics.
Yeah, I mean, even like we're going to open a portal above Hala and pour like an entire planet's ocean through that portal. I'm like, well, that seems like it's going to end very badly because that's a lot of water coming down very fast and very hard.
Yeah,
like that does not seem like a good plan.
Yeah.
So,
but I think again, the villain is kind of one of the weak parts.
I would say Dar-Ben for me is probably one of, if not the weakest MCU villain we've had. Just because there's no real explanation for her.
Well, I think there is an explanation for her, but it is so perfunctory.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That it's very...
There's no real... It gets a very rudimentary, paint-by-number kind of villain.
You mean rudimentary?
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Rudimentary?
Why not? I think you can say it either way.
No, I don't think you can. You can. One of them's right and one's wrong, though.
Okay, keep looking at Zach for the judgment, then.
He doesn't know.
So, like she could have had a really great backstory, but you'd have to actually devote time to it.
Well, and
you know what? I'm kind of okay with us not devoting a lot of time to it.
That's one of the things that I think the film sort of boxed itself in with is... In a lot of ways, it's meant to be... It's obviously a sequel to Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But Captain Marvel didn't really leave it with a lot to do in terms of a sequel. Because, the big end of that movie was her blowing up Ronan's ships that were invading. And, Ronan said something at the end of that film about, we'll have to deal with her. And I'm like, well, you're dead in the present, so that storyline's a dead end right there.
Yeah,
and then she sends Yanrog back to Hala, saying, "Tell the Supreme Intelligence I'm coming."
Yeah,
and then that just becomes a kind of a footnote in this movie.
Well, they needed to spend a lot more time telling the decline of Hala if they really wanted to make Dar-Benn
I think that's the thing
interesting or meaningful character.
Yeah,
and
I think they need. I mean, the issue too is because I don't quite follow the timeline on it.
No, I don't even want to think about the
in terms of did she, when did she go and destroy Hala?
Right.
Because the original Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s. Did she do this back in the 90s? And they've been suffering since, or did she do this post Endgame? I'm not really clear on where she became the Annihilator and blew up the Supreme Intelligence and whatnot.
Right. Because it takes a while for Hala to deteriorate.
Well, there's a civil war that leads to the deterioration of Hala.
Right, that's what I mean. It's not like the destruction immediately destroys the environment. There is an intervening set of events.
Well, and I don't know particularly the other thing too is that in Guardians, we see the scene where What's-Her-Face on the planet is trying to get the Kree to stop Ronan after they signed the treaty, Xandar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, so is that the Civil War? Is Ronan's not doing... Because Ronan doesn't like the current Kree leadership. But we also see a shot of the Kree planet, at least in the screen. I'm like, well, it looks like the planet... I mean, it's sunny.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so when did the Civil War happen? When did... So yeah, it's all kind of muddy for me.
One of the reasons I like the film is I didn't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And so maybe Dar-Benn being less developed was good for me in that way. Because
I would have liked Dar-Benn to be a more significant villain because she's just kind of
I agree.
She's there. She's among the weakest of the Marvel villains for me.
Yeah, the Marvel villains have been relatively weak over time.
Yeah,
too. So, and my other complaint is too much punchy punch. At the expense of the character development stuff was way more interesting than the special effects and the battling it out for me. So, but so we've talked a little bit about Photon or Professor Marvel, but I thought Iman Vellani's performance was actually really good.
Oh yeah, she's fantastic.
She holds up to big time stars all around her. She's really funny. She's empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
She's got enough Peter Parker, Spider-Man energy in her that she brings kind of that naive enthusiasm to the task, and yet she's not just a clone of Peter Parker. She is her own person. I just thought whoever cast her made the right choice. She's very, very good in this.
For the main hero characters, Marvel has generally done a good job with casting.
Yeah.
She's another one that they've pretty much nailed.
I think that's a hard one to get right too.
Yeah.
And they really got it right. As they did with Zenobia Shroff as her mom.
Yeah.
I could watch a movie about her mom.
Yeah.
Just like a day in the life.
Yeah, I enjoyed the inclusion of her family.
Yeah. I thought her whole family. And here's the crazy thing. The cats didn't bother me. One of the things that I really did not like in the trailer was the cat floating up in space. No interest in it. No, the cat with the big octopus legs that come out, and I never found it interesting, never found it funny, never found it engaging, and yet all of a sudden these little kids, I'm like, I don't hate them.
Yeah,
I don't hate them.
I do have it. Yeah, I know exactly. It's bizarre.
I don't hate them.
Hate cute kids, but oh, cute furry kitty.
Well, I didn't say I don't love them, but I don't hate them. Like I should have hated them, but I didn't.
Well, here I know this is probably going to
very
ruin
organic
them
to the plot. I don't know.
Okay, I'm not okay. So here's the thing.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure in the first Captain Marvel movie, when Goose ate people, they did not come back out. Like. Goose digested people.
That's a fair question.
So the whole like cats digesting people to save them so they can get on the planet, I'm like, that's new.
Yeah, but like hairballs, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
maybe we didn't see enough of Goose. Maybe he did.
The only thing we see, the
stuff.
only thing Goose coughs up, I think, is the Tesseract. Everything else that Goose ate in that movie, I think, stays in Goose.
Well, at least on screen.
At least, yeah.
We don't know what he's purging off screen.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a little bit weird for me. I'm like, I don't remember Flurkins being that safe a thing to.
I didn't even know they were called Flurkins. So,
what do you mean you don't know they're called Flurkins?
Totally forgotten. That's how little I care anymore. That's why I love the movie so much. The kittens were kind of cute, floating around, gobbling up people.
It's a great movie if you forget anything that was said.
Then vomiting them out. Do they call them Flurkins in the movie?
Yes, repeatedly.
Really?
Yes.
You said they weren't saying curtains?
Flurkins.
Like curtain, like kittens?
They're Flurkins.
Curtains.
They're also referred to as Flurkins multiple times in the first Captain Marvel.
Oh, I remember that movie. That was a long time ago, and it wasn't that great a movie.
Yeah. I do have one complaint about Kamala, though.
Okay.
And that's the quantum bands.
Oh boy, here we go.
Well, because here's the thing. We talked about, when we saw in the trailer, I pointed out that design-wise, they look like the quantum bands.
Okay.
Function-wise, they function like the nega bands. Because the original Captain Marvel had the nega bands that would allow him to switch places with Rick Jones.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. You know who the primary holder of the quantum bands is in the Marvel Comics universe.
I've already forgotten what nega bands do. So I'm pretty confident I don't know who holds them.
I am not happy with this film's Quasar erasure. Because Quasar is the owner of the quantum bands in the comics, and this movie is Quasar erasure. Very upset about that.
You think there'll never be a Quasar?
There will, no, because Kamala's got them. You're not going to replace Kamala with Quasar. I mean, I'm the biggest fan of Quasar, and I'm not even going to do that.
Yeah.
But it's upsetting to me that they call
you might be a big fan, but I feel like Quasar's pretty low on the pecking order of characters they
below Drax and Rocket Raccoon, all those characters before they were in the Guardians
even
movie.
below them, yes.
No, ridiculous.
Yeah, Quasar was always
always
a laughing stock.
Of
comic book superheroes. Nobody took him seriously.
Everyone took. He's a very good character.
I know.
He had a 60-issue solo comic run.
I know people who got published in multiple letter columns, which suggests that not a lot of people were writing into those letter columns.
Or someone wrote really good letters.
Or nobody gave a crap about
Quasar. Someone wrote really insightful letters.
Or nobody
about
cared
things
about
going on in Quasar. No, I care about Quasar.
I know you do.
So
we all
you cannot
agree
say
that you
nobody cares about Quasar.
So I'm very upset. You care about Quasar.
Very upset over Quasar.
That he is below Rocket Raccoon even before.
No, that's ridiculous.
Guardians.
Ridiculous. Quasar is one of the linchpin Marvel comic characters.
From the moment he showed up on the page,
that is ridiculous.
He was a has-been.
No,
he didn't matter.
No,
and he never
I'll
will
give you.
Matter.
He might have been and never was, but he was not a has-been.
He was an overpowered guy who never did anything.
Oh, come on. Just because he's got the bands that allow him to create shapes out of quantum energy?
Yeah.
Would you say Green Lantern is overpowered?
No, I'm comparing that to how much power he had to what he actually accomplished in the universe.
He accomplished a lot.
Green Lantern did, right?
No.
Green Lantern certainly did.
Quasar saved the universe from Maelstrom.
And who is Maelstrom?
He's a former Eternal that I can't really remember because it's been a while.
Yeah, right. That really forgettable.
But he was big.
Universe-ending threat, but I don't really remember much about him.
Yeah.
So he took down the most nondescript.
No, he took down... Oh, no, Maelstrom's not nondescript.
No?
Yeah, no.
You just can't describe him. Which would be the definition of nondescript.
No, he's hard to describe. Thank you. He's hard. He's ineffable.
Yeah.
In a way that Quasar is as well. So,
there's something to do with ineffable and Quasar, but I'm going to let that one. Slide by.
So, but yeah. So I'm very upset. Quasar erasure.
I am not upset at all.
I know.
Quasar was never here.
Yeah.
Quasar was never really here, and now he's gone.
Quasar's an Avenger. You just slide him right in.
He was an Avenger, right?
Well, once an Avenger, always an Avenger.
Everybody been an Avenger?
Not everybody.
Who's not been an Avenger? Has Cyclops ever been an Avenger?
No.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of X-Men that have never been Avengers.
What about Jubilee?
No.
No?
No.
Huh.
We've only allowed certain X-Men in as Avengers.
Okay.
Like Rogue.
Tokens, really.
Deadpool. I mean, given the current roster of Uncanny Avengers, M.
Well, Hickman brought some in, right? Wait, M is on the Avengers now?
The Uncanny Avengers.
That's a character they never really figured out, I think.
Yeah, she's having like a relationship with Quicksilver.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Huh. Interesting.
So, but yeah, so another knock against this film is its Quasar erasure.
Well, I think that I didn't realize that Quasar had been erased, but now I like the film even more. It might be better than Endgame at this point.
Oh my god.
That's just not cool. That's just not cool. Hurtful.
So the film clearly provides a platform to launch different projects. Like, let's say we were going to get rid of Loki Kang.
Yeah.
Let me pitch 3 with a bonus 4th that this film would give us.
Okay.
Option 1.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the least likely of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
A-Force.
Oh. Yeah, we kind of do have an
3
A-Force.
Strong female leads.
That is true.
Like an all-female Avengers.
That is true. You could throw She-Hulk in there. She was on A-Force.
Right, you could talk. Yeah, I mean, well, lots of people were on A-Force.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, like, we're almost there. One of my favorite parts of the film, my favorite part of the film was when the 3 leads shared the screen together.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought, like, they had great chemistry.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of it.
Yeah.
The training sequence where they're learning how to use the way they switch, kind of fun. The heart-to-heart relationships, the fangirling. I'm not sure I want a Marvels 2.
Yeah.
But I could see this expanding into an all-females Avengers and being pretty happy with that as a development.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting.
I mean, I guess Black Widow can't join, right?
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's one from What If that could be ported over.
Yeah. Maybe Quasar will get a What If.
Yeah.
What if Quasar had ever mattered? That'll be the title.
That's just rude. That's just rude.
All right. So option number 2.
Poor Wendell.
Wendell.
Yeah, his name's Wendell Vaughn.
I can't even name Quasar.
So bad.
Yeah. Wendell Vaughn.
Yep.
Okay. Obviously. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Incredibly.
He's supposed to be an everyman.
Is he?
Yes.
Quasar or Wendell?
Both.
Quasar. Box checked. Definitely an everyman. Option number 2, the most obvious, Young Avengers.
Yes.
You'd be pretty excited about that.
Maybe just a little.
Yeah. So Kate Bishop.
Yep.
Cassie Lang, I guess.
Yep. Clearly they're starting with those 3.
Anybody else you'd throw on? I mean, in a way, think about this. Bonus, Young A-Force.
Yeah.
Because they're all women.
They are. I mean, it's hard to say because, I mean, the other people, I mean, because Kamala actually wasn't part of Young Avengers.
But she doesn't have to be, right?
It doesn't have, no. Well, I think they're going to end up doing it might end up being a blend of like Young Avengers and then the Champions team.
Sure.
Because Young Avengers, I mean, the other ones that fill out the roster besides Kate and Cassie are Iron Lad, who's a young Kang.
What about Wiccan? Is he on that team?
Wiccan and Hulkling are both on there. And then Speed, which is the Wiccan's brother, the Scarlet Witch's twins.
Okay.
So there's a lot of, and they've obviously introduced both of them.
But
there's a lot of baggage there. What I would like to see is I would like Kamala, Kate Bishop, Stature. The next place I'm going is a live action Miles Morales.
Yes.
That would be good.
I would bring them in. I would bring him in as another young
Which you
Avenger.
could through the Loki multiverse.
You could very so yeah. So I mean,
stupidity.
Well, keep in mind that in Spider-Man: Homecoming, when Spidey webs up Donald Glover's character, who is playing Aaron, which is Miles' uncle from the film, he mentions he's got a nephew.
Right.
So Miles is floating around there somewhere.
So
I could see.
But I would still call it Young Avengers because
I'm still calling it
I'm
Young
not
Avengers.
like so captured by the canon that it has to have the original? Like,
no, I would still
you
call it Young Avengers.
You call it Young
but
Avengers.
I probably wouldn't. I know this will shock you. I would not stick so strictly to canon in terms of who's among
I am
the Young
stunned.
Avengers.
Yeah, it's like we have switched bodies.
Yeah,
today.
so I think Miles would be a perfect logical person to put in there.
Would you keep like Peter Parker in for like an intro to Miles then for the Young Avengers? Would you?
That's true. Peter Parker's young enough that he could be
young enough,
Avengers.
and he would be the most.
I'd probably still do Miles.
The thing is, I think
he'd be a leader.
If you do Miles,
yeah, but I think Kamala's going to be a leader.
You have a real hook to bring the audience into.
Yeah,
because Miles is widely loved.
Yeah,
the Spider-Verse stuff has been huge success.
Yeah,
I think that if you're a businessman trying to figure out how do you get people into the Young Avengers, like the live action debut. Of Miles.
Well, and if we did Young A-Force, then I would swap out Miles for Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen would be actually. I would rather have Spider-Gwen.
Like she would work in there really well too.
Young A-Force would be really nice.
Yeah. So, so I think so I'd probably go Miles. I'm not sure who else I would bring in, but that's true. She does do the voice of Spider-Gwen. That could be. It would be great if we did Young A-Force and it was still the animated version of Spider-Gwen. In kind of like the cool style, like that would actually be pretty cool. That would be kind of neat. That would be cool. I agree. But so Young Avengers, but I could see ways in which they could do Young Avengers, but I mean, again, the idea was that the Young Avengers were all versions of people who had been Avengers. Right. Spider-Man's been an Avenger, so Miles coming in kind of works. Or
Spider-Man would be cool too. So I know we got to get to why the movie's not doing well.
Yes,
but there was one more platform I had, and then we can talk about what you've got, and then we can wrap with that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the X-Men, right now that. Professor Marvel is on the wrong side of the universe.
Yes.
So, is it possible when the rift was open that some of the X-Men drifted in?
I guess.
So there's a squad of X-Men already in the MCU proper?
I don't know that I'd like it.
I don't know about
the
science of it, but I'm just
wondering. Well, I mean, we did kind of see that in No Way Home, is that when the rifts were opening all there, we saw kind of shadowy forms of all of the Spider-Man villains. Yeah. So if they wanted to go that way, they could, but I don't like that way.
So, but they have to work the X-Men in somehow, right?
They do.
You don't think so?
Oh, I mean, we've talked about.
They're not going to use the Kelsey Grammer Beast.
Well, I gotta say, of all the X-Men they could have brought in, that's kind of the
Frazier is a real disappointment.
Yeah, right? I'm particularly given that there are X-Men that have much more profound connections to Captain Marvel. Right. Rogue being the first one,
of course.
Wolverine probably being the second.
Yeah.
So for it to be Kelsey Grammer's Beast, which was fine, nice little nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
But I was a little underwhelmed that that's the direction that they.
I agree, but a glimpse of the X-Men in the universe was, maybe a spark of hope. I did like kind of the way in which the stories mirrored each other. That in the Beast universe, I suppose, right? Phoenix destroys a sun, and thus destroys a planet of people, and in this one, Carol reinvigorates the sun and saves the planet of people. So there's this kind of, and she had an almost binary look to her.
Oh yeah, I mean she's clearly got.
I really appreciated. Binary. I think was a really underappreciated character.
Yeah.
I always liked Binary in that role. But anyway, options to move forward, any one of which is better than the Loki King.
Yeah.
Morass that they've created. Yeah. All right, what else do you have?
I do have a couple other things. I did not care for the characterization of Nick Fury in this film.
Okay.
He was a little too much sassy black friend for me.
No, I guess I can
and
see
also,
that.
this Nick Fury makes no sense after Secret Invasion. In fact, Secret Invasion makes no sense after this movie. The whole point of that movie was Nick Fury lied to the Skrulls about not being able to find them a planet, and then we go to the planet where the Skrulls are living.
Yeah,
I'm wait a minute, I thought we couldn't find planets for Skrulls.
Yeah,
and then they leave with Valkyrie to go to another planet. I'm like, wait a minute. It seems like we've been able to find places where the Skrulls could go, so...
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I see the sassy black friend part of your critique. I liked the idea that he was sidelined a little bit in favor of the three leads.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to do without maybe treading into some problematic.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't find it. Yeah, so I mean, not that Secret Invasion needs to be preserved, but
it should not. Let's be clear.
It kind of undermined the entire premise of Secret Invasion to see that Skrull colony there. I'm like, they seem to be living just fine on their planet. Why is this? What? Yeah. So That was one of my other complaints is that Nick Fury, and I mean, he kind of had that same characterization in Far From Home, where he seemed a bit off, but then that was revealed that he was Talos pretending to be him.
Yeah,
and Nick Fury seemed a bit too much of comic relief.
Okay,
for me.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Other things?
That's all I've got in terms of like good and bad.
All right, so this movie was obviously super divisive.
Yes.
I found
divisive.
I found reviews that say it was absolutely terrible, and that's a quote.
Yep.
That it was worse than Thor: Dark World, which was merely forgettable drag, and Eternals, which was an overlong slog, and the disjointed tonal qualities of Love and Thunder. Like that it's worse than all of that. And in the New York Times, they talked about a film that is, just so bland that it expands the universe even as cultural interest and resonance are diminishing. And then on the other hand, somebody's saying it was uproariously funny, action-packed, and what Marvel Studios does best. But the numbers haven't been good, right? You didn't bring any fun facts. I assume you brought some numbers.
No, I don't care about numbers.
I didn't realize we were totally
numbers are
roles.
Unimportant to gauging the success of a film.
Well, I wouldn't say success of a film. Well, success artistically, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't need to talk about numbers in relationship to the Marvels. We should just ignore the numbers.
Okay. So shall we ignore the numbers?
For Marvels, yes.
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure.
Just ignoring the numbers.
I'm not following. So it's not done particularly well. And it was tracking not to do well. It doesn't seem like...
See, the whole point was that, I don't want to talk about the numbers this time because the numbers are bad.
Oh, got it.
That was
so do you have the numbers?
No, I don't have the numbers. I didn't actually go get them.
For God's sake. But it is not performed.
No. No, it is, it is the worst performing MCU film. Period.
I don't think this is the best that they've ever done, and I'm not saying this is a great movie, but it does not deserve to be the worst performing film.
No.
If we're using money to gauge like anything like quality in it. So what's going on?
I think there's a lot of things.
Oh, okay. You want to give us a quick list?
Well, I would say the SAG-AFTRA strike, which didn't end until like a day before the movie came out, sort of kept the actors from being able to promote the film.
Do you think actors promoting really make that big a difference?
Yeah, I think they do.
Really?
Yeah. There was I don't
pay any attention.
There
to
was
what any of them
there was
say
some
while they're
article that pointed out like within like the days after the strike ended, like searches on Brie Larson like went up. And it's because they did at least get some
interesting
out
so
there.
Not part of that culture.
So but I do.
So there was not enough actor.
Well,
promotion?
but I think you can also look at something like the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon, which was largely generated by the actors sort of doing that, and they were able to do it because it was before the strike.
Okay.
So I think that did hamstring it quite a bit. I don't think the marketing of the film in general was great. It's a good, fun family film that released not far before Thanksgiving, and they didn't market it as a fun family film.
It would be something the whole family could enjoy.
Yeah, like it's a perfect kind of family entertaining film.
So the first one Marvel couldn't have avoided, but the second one is a
I think the marketing wasn't great.
Okay.
As we've already talked about, there's a lot leading up to this film. Like you've got Captain Marvel, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, and Secret Invasion. That's a lot of stuff that this film, and even though it does, I think, decently in terms of standing on its own, there is kind of a lot of freight.
It's interesting that I found this one more standaloneable than other stuff that we've seen, but that's just my preference.
And then I think the other thing, and this isn't particular to this film, but to the MCU right now, is that right now, I don't feel like there's the same sense of a strong hand guiding the MCU these days. And with the sheer amount of content that the MCU is putting out,
so
there needs to be that hand. Like, it never felt like the narrative in the Infinity Saga was spiraling out of control.
Right.
And it feels like with the Multiverse Saga, the narrative is spiraling out of control.
Yeah, I would say less spiraling and more sort of mindlessly meandering about.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, part of it is like,
it feels
I
like
mean,
it mills.
how long has it been since Eternals, and no one has mentioned the giant celestial sticking out of the ocean?
Yeah,
like there's just it doesn't feel, and in the past it feels like there would have at least been some kind of.
It's too complicated, and there's no direction. There's
I
clearly
think that's
whatever phase we're in right now, phase 12 or whatever.
6.
It's
or 5.
I don't
Now,
know.
could you replace Kang with like Galactus?
Oh, I don't know. I think if you're going to replace Kang with someone, I'd probably go more Doctor Doom than Galactus.
I love Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
He's
I
my
think Dr.
favorite
Doom,
villain ever.
Who's never been done very well.
That's the problem. Doctor Doom is hard to do.
Does make sense, but they need. I completely agree. They need a through line, a sense of purpose, a sense of a larger story being told that has a direction to it. Whereas right now it doesn't. It just
well,
feels
as I think
like
we talked about before, multiverse is not a story; it's a concept.
Right.
And I don't think we.
You could tell a story through it, though.
You could. Whereas Thanos collecting the Infinity Gems, that's something that's much more easily to follow in terms of a plot.
Right.
A whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
People that look slightly different. It gets very confusing very fast. So
it also is boring. Like, it used to be interesting that we were going to bring back the old Spider-Man or whatever, but it's been so done.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe Doctor Doom could be trying to.
Yeah.
Like, harness the multiverse in some way. Like, maybe there's a way that you don't have to completely get rid of it. But they need a really dynamic, concrete villain, and they need a sense of.
They need real stakes too,
right?
Because it feels like they haven't had anything.
Top the stakes? Like
have a character die.
Everybody dies next time. Yeah.
Have somebody important that everybody loves die and not come back.
But who is that in the universe right now?
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd have to be him, right?
And then you could like springboard into
Possibly
Miles Morales. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
No,
you can't do that.
Yeah, no, they can't do that.
Because with the licensing agreement with like Sony,
right?
With the licensing agreement with Sony still that they have to have for Spider-Man, you could after the next film, because I don't know if Tom Holland wants to keep going with it.
There was a thing today that like Tom Holland said they're in discussions of like what the next movie could be, but
if that's the last movie, then you could springboard into Miles Morales and the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
You can go from there. So just kill them off, but do it in a meaningful way that actually has stakes.
I don't even know that they have to kill anyone off. We've talked about this before. The mistake Marvel made was not moving on to Fantastic Four and X-Men after Endgame.
Right.
They should have just cut bait with Endgame, put a pause on it, move on to Fantastic. Because this is the problem. Yeah, I'd love to see Doctor Doom, but I want Doctor Doom to develop over like 4 or 5 films. And at this point, they need Doctor Doom to be Doctor Doom day one he shows up. And I'm like, that's why Doctor Doom didn't work in the previous films.
Right. But yeah, you could see Doctor Doom coming out of Latveria, coming out of the early Avengers movies in some way.
Yeah.
Right? Like seeing the devastation caused, deciding that he has to go to war.
Yeah.
Right? He has to engage in an arms race.
It's been too long, though. I think.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm saying that was the
Everybody
moment
forgot.
where you could tell the 5-movie development of a small little dictator in a nothing little country being afraid that he's going to be next.
Yeah.
The story's there. They didn't tell it.
Doctor Doom's such a great film.
Yeah. So I mean, Galactus is hard to do.
I think Galactus is super hard
because I mean, it would be great to see him, but he's also in some ways kind of a ridiculous character.
With how ridiculous it's already getting.
And so it's like, giant purple alien dude shows up with
Eating
giant
planets.
antenna heads. Like he's a little esoteric.
I don't know if we need another Silver Surfer either.
Well, the rumor is that they're going with a female Silver Surfer.
Oh,
or a lot of people have gotten up, and the people you would expect have gotten up in arms about that. And then a lot of people are like, well, they could just be doing Nova, who was of course a female herald of Galactus. Like, that is a fair point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I mean, Galactus is steering into the cosmic end of things a lot too, which as they've been doing more and more in that, they seem to be struggling with.
Doctor Doom gives you a rooted story in the planet Earth that you can scale back a little bit.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem, is the MCU had its chance to scale back.
Well,
and I don't know that they can do that
because in that way the comics are a bad blueprint. Because to me, as the Marvel universe has gotten more and more and more cosmic, it's become less interesting to me.
Yeah.
honestly. Like, you don't get individual, really interesting stories.
Which actually, Iman Vellani actually said, she thinks what would fix them would be if the MCU is a greater focus on characters. Like, they need to focus on the characters.
Well, that's what I'm saying worked about this movie, was the characters, not...
Everything that happened in the earlier movies was focused on the characters, and then naturally over time they started building relationships throughout different films. Like, it was, you had how many Iron Mans before you had other characters show up in them? Like, you had a decent
you had one
amount.
Iron Man because Nick Fury shows up at the end.
Well,
of
Nick
Iron
Fury,
Man.
but it's still like the relationship that they developed took time.
Right.
And it was like a quick cameo, then more than a cameo, and now it's a ally. Like, it took time, and now they just throw them in and expect you to know
and that's the
everything.
problem, is they need to go back to where it was like 1 or 2 movies a year, and just kind of slowly build.
But they've got all this
we talked about
stuff now,
we talked
right?
about, I mean,
That's
that's
the
about, we
problem.
talked about
They
this
got all
before,
stuff.
is, with Wakanda Forever, when they've got, so we've got Black Panther and Namor fighting each other. Panther. I think that's the cat from He-Man. When they have to find a scientist to help them defeat Namor, it's like, the obvious one is not Ironheart. The obvious one is Reed Richards. Like, that's when you bring Reed in.
Yeah. No, they've missed so many opportunities, but now they've got all of this stuff. It's like space junk.
Yeah.
Just like revolving around the MCU.
Yeah.
How do you, like, what you need is the space for Fantastic Four to build over a couple of movies before it connects to anything else.
Yeah.
And it just, they've created a big problem for
And you can
themselves.
bring Chris Evans back as
Human Torch.
as the Human Torch. And he was a funny Human Torch.
He was a great Human Torch.
Yeah.
And he
could
was
bring
a
him
great
back.
Captain America.
That movie was, well, I don't know. Who was the guy that played the Thing?
It was the lead from the commish.
Chiklis.
Yes, Michael Chiklis.
Chiklis. Yeah, maybe not the best. And I thought Reed Richards was pretty bland.
Yeah.
In that one.
Well, then I think you shared John Byrne's opinion on Jessica Alba as.
I thought she was fine as the Invisible Woman. John Byrne did not.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, bland Reed Richards is kind of Reed Richards. Like Reed does kind of suck.
But that sucking and being bland is not the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, Reed Richards now is way more of kind of a flaming jerk, right?
Yeah.
So
no, you're thinking of Human Torch. But ching, hey.
Well, he's not a jerk though. Well, he can be a kind of a jerk. Yeah, I got the flaming part. I was just trying to work.
He's on fire.
So
yeah.
So you're not worried about the wokeness of it being a factor, because I did
wokeness
find
of what?
Of the Marvels being a factor in people not.
I mean, obviously,
I did see people posting about.
Oh yeah.
That is a theory online that people didn't want to see a bunch of women and people of color. In the movie.
I mean, I can see that, and maybe it was, but at this point, those people aren't going to like anything that is going on.
In many ways, this movie was not the wokest of the Marvel movies.
No, it wasn't.
Far,
no.
I would say.
God, no.
Except for maybe in the casting.
Yeah.
And the way in which leads were given to certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the same people that don't like this film also didn't like Captain Marvel,
right?
And that seemed to do okay.
And yet they love militarism. I don't understand. I'm very confused. Like, the politics of America today, I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Because we're all picking sides. I just can't decide how we've decided.
Yeah.
Which sides we're on.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's so I don't know. I mean, yeah, you're right. This is not the most, aggressively woke film.
Beyond who the characters are.
Yeah, like there's yeah, I mean,
but it's not a preachy film.
Even the sort of environmental angle of the film is pretty not in your face about that at all.
Right. You can totally watch this film and just be like,
Yeah, that totally works. Yeah, their atmosphere's
typical
gone.
usual catastrophe.
We'll
all we need is another sun and
that
fire it up, baby.
Totally works. Yeah, that's totally fine. But yeah, so it's
yeah.
I mean, I think that's a glib sort of explanation for why. I mean, the universe has been woke for a while.
The other plot hole that I find is that because to make Thor's axe, they had to take a power of a star, and like that's how they had to forge it. So I'm like, you already have the tools. They already have the tools necessary for Asgardians. Oh,
that's a good point. I didn't even thought about that. They did reignite a star in Infinity War.
You reignited a star already in Infinity War to make this in the first place. And the Asgardians, seems like you could get this done in a different way without having to destroy a different planet. You can just take another
but that's
star.
the issue with the Kree. The Kree always kind of suck.
Poor Kree, man. Poor
I mean, the Kree are not cool like that.
They do get the short end of the...
Yeah, I was disappointed that we also got like almost a comics accurate version of Supreme Intelligence, and he's there for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at that. Oh, he's gone. No. Okay, well, that was... I wanted my giant squid head.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was disappointing.
You can only get so many MODOKs. I was going to say.
We gave you MODOK. He was an Ant-Man. You hated him. Like, I mean, to be fair, MODOK looked pretty shabby.
Well, anyway, he's a shabby-looking guy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I think there's any number. I think I would probably chalk it up less to wokeness and possibly to superhero fatigue.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Has somebody in the mainstream started to talk about post-peak superhero?
I've not heard that phrase in the mainstream.
All right.
I've heard I've heard it on the fringes.
Or you could
for about 5 years? 6
Quite a
years?
while now.
Yeah, 7 years.
If you really wanted to do a hard pivot, like a really hard pivot, you could do Deadpool where he's killing off all the superheroes.
I'm wondering, because Deadpool's the only movie coming out next year. If they wanted to do a pivot, that's the movie to do a pivot with.
Like that would be. I feel like that'd be a really good storyline because
like
then
you just because there was a thing where there was a meme that showed it was like, this is how you bring the X-Men into the MCU. Deadpool's on his computer with the MCU folder and the X-Men folder, and he just moves it over into it. And
that
I
would
like,
be so
what you do now is you have him open
actually.
the MCU folder, select Phase 5. And just delete.
That would be so funny.
That'd be pretty good. Maybe he just got pulled through that space-time continuum rift. Maybe Deadpool 3 is actually in the MCU.
I don't know.
I think kill off all the heroes.
I think he's going to be jumping around, various multiverses.
Oh, good.
Because
you know what I need is more multiversal jumping. It's boring.
What's been coming out in the news lately is that Deadpool is going to be important to setting up Secret Wars. Because that seems to be the thing that they're going for next is
Secret Wars. Well, I don't know.
I think they're going more for original Secret Wars in the Hickman version.
Yeah.
Though we do have the what are they called? The where the worlds are sort of smashing into each other. I can't remember what they call that.
More
incursions.
Recently.
The incursions were mentioned in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I swear to God, if they do some kind of incursion thing.
Well, I mean, we've already seen it in Multiverse of Madness.
Make it more complicated.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
You know what we really need? Squadron Supreme.
With Quasar.
Because you already beat me to it because they appeared in Quasar.
Quasar and the Squadron Supreme.
Oh, come on. That is
if that
money,
doesn't
baby.
If that doesn't
that is
the MCU,
money. Right then and there.
All right. Well, that's a nice gift to end the show on.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Quasar and the Squadron Supreme.
Feige is listening.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He knows what he needs to do.
Yes.
To right this ship.
I've got an even better idea.
I doubt it.
Quasar versus Doctor Doom. That is a quality film.
No, because that's a lightweight versus like a real heavyweight. Like it should be Quasar.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. Quasar probably is a bit more of a heavyweight than Doctor Doom.
I was going to say Quasar versus one of the Hydra agents.
Hydra
just one of them.
Hydra agent Bob.
Yeah.
Who is a character in Deadpool, by the way.
Yeah. So maybe that would be the matchup I'd want to see.
Yeah. Who wouldn't give
Quasar a fighting chance at least?
Yeah.
I mean, no doubt. The betting is still against him. But
Quasar versus Galactus.
Like a 30-second.
That'd be excellent. I'm telling you, Quasar is the secret to saving the MCU.
All right, so the MCU is dead.
Heard it here first.
Happy Christmas, everybody.